would tell them that really take a look at your business model and the problem that you're solving in the specific space that you're in. There's numerous amount of resources, so educate yourself. There's plenty of resources out there, whether it's from funding or whether it's resources. And I highly believe your network is your net worth. So utilize your network and learn as much as you can from reaching out to individuals within the industry that you're in.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Mahboob. And May grew up in New York City before relocating to Texas midway through high school, and then started out or going off to college, started out in pre-med, and then decided to switch over to broadcast journalism. Also did some internships in that field. And then after that, started her own business with cosmetics, I believe, and even going to Singapore to grow that business. Also went to Africa and did a few business things there, as well as help them with their education, and then decided to relocate back to the US and started another business in VR and augmented reality for education and language learning. Has been doing that ever since. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, May.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Absolutely excited to have you on and have a great discussion. So I just gave the condensed version to a much longer journey. So why don't we rewind and unpack that a bit? So kind of tell us how your journey got started moving from New York to mid-tech or to Texas.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in New York City in Queens, and my dad was actually in the IT sector, so he relocated for his work to Texas and have been here ever since 2000, since June of 2000.
Awesome. So you moved to Texas, and then after finishing up high school, you went into the college, as I'd mentioned. So tell us a little bit about kind of I think you started with going to pre-med and then decided to switch majors.
Yeah, so I actually went to University of North Texas, and I was doing pre-med and decided to switch to communication and broadcasting journalism. I felt like I was more of a public speaker, and Diane Sawyer was one of my idols, so wanted to do something and something closer to that.
Makes sense. So you switched majors, and then I think you said you also did some internships while you're in school there with that major, or once you switched over, where did the path take you from there?
Yeah, so one of the things that I did was while I was going to school, I was actually working in just a college job in the retail sector. So one of the tools that I utilized was I was working for Estee Lauder, and they provided tuition reimbursement if you went to school and got all everything above B's and while you were working full time. So I took advantage of that and double majored in broadcasting and journalism. So by the time I graduated, I realized I was in a very high-tiered position, executive position, and doing what I really enjoyed, utilizing my communication skills and in the beauty sector, and kind of continued that onwards since I was so successful at it.
So now you did that, and it started out kind of as maybe internships or doing that while you were in school. Now, I believe at some point that took you over to Singapore. Is that right?
It did. So from Estee Lauder, I actually started working for Lush Cosmetics in the US throughout North America, training as well as business development. And what I did was I had a family member in Singapore, and as I was visiting her, one of the things that I was talking to her about is that Singapore didn't have any Lush locations there. So we decided to apply for a Lush partnership, and 6 months later, we received a phone call. There were over 130, as well as business, really large individuals with firms that had the funding, but they decided to give it to us. So I packed my bags and relocated to Singapore.
Now, and so once you packed your bags and went to Singapore, how long were you there for?
I was there for 4.5 years, and we started the brand from the ground up, from product to creating the products locally, a lot of sourcing ingredients, materials, and really getting the brand started. We now have over 9 locations there. So relocated back to the US and became a silent partner.
Awesome. Sounds like it was a fun part of the journey. Now, maybe just to follow up that, because I think you mentioned after Singapore, you went to Africa. Is that right?
Throughout Singapore, I traveled quite a bit throughout Asia and Africa, and especially with Lush Cosmetics, one of the core values is the ingredients are ethically traded from various sources to really help individuals and small communities throughout Africa, as well as the Southeast Asia region. So I started working with a lot of small communities, especially in education, helping individuals across Africa and Southeast Asia.
So you started on that, took advantage of, it sounds like, some great opportunities as well as some great experience. So you were there for Singapore for 4 years and also getting to travel throughout Asia and Africa, building up the business. Now, I think at one point you mentioned that you decided to relocate back to Utah or come back to the States. Is that right?
Yeah, so my mom was actually sick, so I decided to spend more time with family and relocated back to Dallas from there.
Now, when you're coming back, did you have a plan what you were going to do, or is it just, hey, want to be closer to family and I'll figure it out when I get there? Kind of, what was that their step, or how did it go from there?
Yeah, I actually did not have a plan what I wanted to do, but I knew that I was always an entrepreneur and had that mindset. So I was going to figure it out once I got here.
And so walk us through what did you figure out? How did you figure out, and what did you end up doing?
So throughout my travels, I actually met my business partner, who's based out of Sweden, and he has done quite a bit of work with children in sex trafficking and helping children, freeing them from various areas within Southeast Asia. So through the social impact work, he's been in the technology industry, blockchain, for quite some time. He's done quite a bit of projects in robotics and artificial intelligence. So we decided to combine our powers and work on something where we could help children, and especially providing accessibility of technology to disrupt that cycle and be able to provide educational resources to individuals globally.
Now, so that makes sense. So it's great to have that connection. You have the business partner that you met along the journey, so to speak. But now, taking that from kind of an idea or concept, what was the reduction, or how did you actually make that in a business, or where did it take? And kind of give us an idea as to how that got started.
Yeah, so it started with a business idea, and I'm very meticulous when it comes to writing out a plan and really figuring out each step of the process. So I have kind of prided myself in marketing as well as product development and seeing it completely through. So we started working on a product, the first product, how we were going to launch it, who our targeted market was, and the problem we were solving. And we knew there was a need for it. And it was a very niche market. So we started kind of building our brand that way.
And what was, and I know you hit on it just a bit, but help us understand, what was the actual company? In other words, it sounded like, there was certainly a mission and helping with, education and, realizing that sex trafficking is an issue and everything else. But, what was the business, or what was the problem you were solving, or kind of what did you settle in on as far as kind of now how to make or create something and make it profitable?
Yeah, so we started working on TechWays XR was initially the brand, and now we've kind of converted into what's called MBD Financials. And we started off with educational solutions and having that reach in developing communities via VR interactive gamification platform. So whether it was virtual reality or augmented reality, individuals were able to have access to it, and they were learning specific financial models, how to become financial freedom while learning and developing skill sets. So various types of skill sets, whether it was a specific technical skill, or if it was, learning how to code, very simplified skill sets, which they could get certified in.
So now, is this a non-for-profit, for-profit? In other words, it seems like if you're going into what is typically disadvantaged or third world countries or other way, they don't have a large amount of income to expend on this type of, augmented reality, virtual reality, interactive type of thing, then it seems like, is that something where it's, a charity and people donate and allow you to or accomplish a mission? Or did you make that into a standalone profitable business, or kind of help us to understand that?
Yeah, so we were able to come up with a ecosystem where individuals could actually learn, earn, and be able to monetize based off of that. So it's accessibility agnostic, which means you could use a cell phone to have access to it. You could have, if you want more of an immersive experience, you could utilize virtual reality. But what we created is a Web3 in the Web3 space, utilizing non-fungible tokens, where people can actually create digital twins of products and services and be able to monetize. And we created a reward system. So when you look at the Web2 space, organizations and businesses, they can now transition over into the Web3 space, create a loyalty model, create it with community. But as they're earning, and individuals that are participating within our ecosystem in developing countries, they're earning rewards. And those rewards could be traded in for basic necessities. You've got food at the local grocery store, or clothing, or education in general.
Well, sounds like it was a good setup. So now as you kind of got that started, help us understand, how long ago did you get that started, and kind of how's it gone, and where's it at today?
Yeah, so we started that actually. Initially, it was the development stage, and we were in the education sector here. And then we wanted to create this virtual environment where people could interact, and the platform started growing. So we launched our digital currency as well as the platform around March of last year. And we started really building the brand itself and developing. And then soon it was self-funded between my business partner and I, and we soon realized that it was time to start bringing in VC funding to really grow that platform and the business in itself. I've never raised capital before, so I went and capital raise journey from May, and we closed a seed round of 10 million around September of last year.
Awesome. Sounds like it was a great journey, and we're able to find some great success and raising some of the funds for it. So now help us understand kind of where the business is at today. Is it launched, profitable, making tons of money, still preparing to launch, got beta testers, gone bankrupt, any or all of the above? Where kind of give us an idea, where is it at today?
Yeah, so we actually are getting ready to launch our product. We went through beta testing. We have various projects, various solutions, various artists, and we're actually onboarding onto our platform. Small businesses to medium-sized businesses that are looking into getting into the space. We're currently onboarding. So we're really excited about the community and the traction we've received. And will become profitable, actually generating revenue as soon as we launch.
Awesome. Well, sounds like it's a good, and give us an idea, when do you think that launch will be, or is that still yet to be defined, or kind of when do you see that happening?
We're going to actually have a full launch by the end of this month. Currently, we're still ongoing our beta testing.
Awesome. Well, sounds like it'll be fun. So now if we were to kind of maybe project out just a little bit and look into the future a little bit, take the next, 6 to 12 months, where do you see things headed? Where do you hope they'll go?
So in 6 to 12 months, we're going to continue to grow out this platform. In addition to that, we're within our roadmap, we are going to add financial solutions. And after that, we're adding digital real estate. So a lot of real world utilities that are being added in with this virtual environment, and where the entire metaverse and cryptocurrency, digital currencies kind of transitioning over to. So our goal is going to be to onboard as many Web2 space and really educate individuals that are currently there that don't quite understand the Web3 space as much as we can, and show them the value behind it. So a continued growth on not just the current product that we're launching, but the future products as well.
Awesome. Well, sounds like it'll be an exciting path and hopefully a great journey ahead. So, well, now as we've kind of reached the present day of your journey and even looking a bit into the future as to where things are hopefully headed, great time to transition to the two questions I always ask at the end of each episode. So jump to those now. So the first question I always ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? And what'd you learn from it?
One of the worst business decisions that I've ever made would be utilizing marketing tools way too early. One of the things that I've learned is there's a time and there's a strategic time where to spend those specific funds. And you have to be very conservative from the very beginning. So being too early can hurt you and you lose the momentum and the traction. So if I were to redo it, I would wait a bit until until we launched the product fully.
Makes perfect sense. It's always a balance. If you wait too long, you don't want to be kind of the, if we build it, they will come. And then you get here, you build it and nobody comes because you didn't load the pipeline sufficiently before it was ready to launch. But on the other hand, if you get going too early, try and use all the tools and do that, it can kind of cause the opposite thing where you're launching before you're ready and you don't have something that people can use, and you don't have something to sell. So it is that that delicate balance, and makes perfect sense how the mistake was made, but also the great lesson to learn from it.
Absolutely.
Now, second question, if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you give them?
I would tell them that really take a look at your business model and the problem that you're solving in the specific space that you're in. There's numerous amount of resources, so educate yourself. There's plenty of resources out there, whether it's from funding or whether it's resources. And I highly believe your network is your net worth. So utilize your network and learn as much as you can from reaching out to individuals within the industry that you're in.
Hey, makes perfect sense. I think it's a great takeaway and definitely a great piece of advice. So, well, awesome. Well, now as we wrap up towards the end of the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Absolutely. So you can look us up at mbdfinancials.com. You can reach out to me at May Mahboob. You can look up May Mahboob on LinkedIn, as well as info@mbdfinancials.com. You could email us, reach out all of our social media.
Awesome. Well, sounds like some great ways to connect, and definitely encourage everybody to reach out, support a great company. If nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you again, May, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you, the listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So just go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners. Make sure to click share, subscribe, and leave us a review. It helps us to share these journeys with even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And on that note, if you ever need help along your journey with patents, trademarks, or anything else with your startup, your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com. Grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Thank you again, May, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you so much for having me.